Welcome to Intermediate Level Scala. I'm Antonio Salazar Cardozo, and I've spent many years working in the Scala space, including 6 or 7 as a committer and contributor on the Lift web framework, and I've helped in that time to build 3 applications from a very early stage, 2 from scratch in Scala using the Lift framework, Akka, and several other Scala technologies. Let's talk about what we'll be covering in this course. Section 1 will be about Scala pattern matching. We'll talk about the basics of pattern matching, how to use them with collections, case classes, try-catch statements, and partial functions, as well as how to set up our own custom match patterns. In Section 2, we'll talk about testing in Scala, specifically with the Specs2 framework. We'll talk about the basics of setting up a spec, the various matchers that Specs2 provides, or at least a few of them, as there are many. How do you do mocking with Mockito and Specs2? How do you do generative testing with ScalaCheck? And finally, we'll talk about a few tips and tricks, including pending until fixed and how to deal with test setups and teardowns. In Section 3, we'll talk about intermediate knowledge around Scala collections. So this includes additional collection types we haven't talked about yet, like vector, map, and set. Basic mutability, using builders to create immutable collections in a mutable way. Some interesting collection features and methods like collect, collect first, partition, group by, and lift. How to sort collections and the various helpers that are available around that. And finally, how to use for comprehensions with some additional tricks compared to what we've talked about before. And finally, we'll talk about a couple of miscellaneous Scala tricks, trait stacking, abstract override, how to create default parameters, default values for parameters and functions, and how to implement pass by name in functions in Scala. Before we get started, we expect you to have a basic understanding of object-oriented programming, some familiarity with the command line, some familiarity with Java constructs like classes, and a basic understanding of Scala that is available from the first volume of this course, including how to define functions, some of the basic Scala data types, the basic uses of for comprehensions, and how to declare and use classes in Scala. Finally, our course goals: understanding the power of Scala pattern matching, understanding Specs2 and the functionality that Specs2 provides, and some of the various tidbits that are available there that are a little under the surface, learning some more advanced interactions with Scala collections and how those interactions can come in useful. And finally, gaining familiarity with trait stacking, default function arguments, and pass by name.